Today on Fake Britain, the tragic story of Cheznye Emmons, the 23-year-old fatally poisoned by fake gin.
The gin was like no other gin that I've ever seen before. It would kill anybody that drank it.
With exclusive footage filmed for Fake Britain, we follow her father as he turns investigator to track down more of the killer counterfeit booze and warn other travellers of its dangers.
I'm gutted, really, because this could kill somebody else's child, you know, and they're still selling it.
We also recount...
It looks just like a bottle of gin, doesn't it? Maybe not a brand you'd recognise and possibly a bit cheap-looking, but the sort of thing you could buy on holiday. However, what's inside this bottle isn't gin at all. It's a fake, and it's lethal. And drinking this stuff had tragic consequences for one young woman 8,000 miles away from her home in Essex.
Cheznye Emmons was a bright, bubbly, 23-year-old beauty therapist from Southend. She set off on what promised to be an unforgettable trip through Asia with her boyfriend, Joe.
She hadn't done anything like this before. You know, she'd really been looking forward to this, you know.
I was going to look at the volcano and also the orangutan sanctuary. And she was saying that they was, you know, having a lovely time and, you know, was really enjoying it and, yeah, just met lots of friends.
Cheznye was in the rainforest town of Bukit Luang in Indonesia. But then Mum Pam received a phone call from Cheznye's boyfriend, Joe, saying that Cheznye had become very sick.
She was in hospital in intensive care. I just thought that probably she'd been out drinking too much and she hadn't felt well, and so I wasn't initially too worried about it.
Cheznye had been drinking. She, Joe and a friend had bought some cheap gin branded Mansion House from a local shop to make some punch. But all three had gone home sick and spent the next day vomiting. From the bottle's design, it looked like a well-established brand, but it wasn't, and the gin inside was fake. It was water mixed with the deadly solvent methanol, a cheap alternative to alcohol and more commonly found in antifreeze.
They'd gone to sleep again, and then when Cheznye woke up, she said she couldn't see. She said that Joe was just like a shadow. She couldn't make out any of his features. And so they decided that they'd get her in the car quick. They was walking to the car. Cheznye actually collapsed. Joe said the last thing she actually said to him was, "Oh, I really want a cup of tea," because she used to like a tea. And he said that was it. And when she arrived in the hospital in Medan, and she got into the cubicle area, she went into a seizure.
Cheznye's condition deteriorated quickly, and boyfriend Joe called her mum and dad again.
When he called the second time and said that she was in a coma, yeah, that was really a shock. He said that they'd said, the only thing he could understand was that they'd said that she was brain dead. And that's really when it sort of hit me a bit how serious it actually was. I was just sort of shocked. I just sort of went into, I don't know, sort of like a dream state, I suppose. I just let out a scream going, "No, no, no."
The family arranged to fly out to be by Cheznye's side. They arrived in Indonesia and made straight for the hospital.
I've never seen anybody on a life support machine before, and she just looked beautiful. She looked brown. She was a beautiful kid, and she had a lovely suntan. She looked gorgeous. And it's the weirdest, strangest thing I think I've ever encountered in my life.
When people say comas, you'd sort of imagine that, you know, you can come out of comas. So we were sort of hoping, and more along those lines, that it would be something that she would come out of, you know.
But Cheznye's situation was much worse than the Emmons had imagined. The fake gin had attacked her central nervous system, acidifying the blood, restricting oxygen supply and causing major organ failure.
They showed us like a polygraph, but it was completely flat, wasn't it?
Basically, her brain was dead, her brain stem was dead, and there was nothing else you could do. You know, I tried to, it sounds strange, but I tried to pinch her and I was shouting in her ear, touching her eyes, you know, to try and get some sort of movement, just anything, just a flicker, just a twitch. And there just was nothing there. It was just horrific, just nothing there at all.
The family was told that Cheznye wouldn't recover and were faced with the prospect of turning off her life support machine.
Although I was hoping, I did feel that she wasn't going to be coming home.
There was no other choice, just do what we had to do, you know what I mean? The hardest thing that anyone or any parent could ever do, ever. Just didn't seem fair, you know.
Coming up, with 100,000 Brits visiting Indonesia every year, Brent Emmons travels back to the country to see whether local shops are still selling the fake spirits.
This is Russian roulette. They're potentially selling a bottle of poison to somebody.
Earlier in our exclusive fake alcohol report, parents Brent and Pam Emmons described their horror as they discovered their daughter Cheznye had been fatally poisoned by fake gin in a popular backpacker town in Indonesia.
Basically, her brain was dead, and there was nothing else you could do. It just didn't seem fair.
In the wake of the tragedy, Dad Brent has decided to return to the country. 3 months after his daughter's death, he's travelling 8,000 miles to ensure police are doing everything they can to stop the sale of killer fake gin Mansion House to even more British travellers. In fact, there's no such thing as genuine Mansion House gin. What's on sale is a deadly mix of water and the chemical methanol, more commonly used in antifreeze. For Brent, this is bound to be an emotionally difficult trip, but he's determined to ensure that other travellers will be safe.
We've now got a 4-hour journey to Bucket Lawang, where we've got to find the gin that poisoned my daughter.
With the help of locals who met Cheznye, Brent tracks down the very shop which sold the fake booze that killed his daughter.
This is the shop that they bought the gin from. I'm going to see what they've got for sale there now.
Brent's been assured by the police that the area is no longer selling the stuff. But within seconds of buying some beers, he's offered more lethal spirits, now being stored out the back. When the shopkeeper's son realises they're being filmed, the transaction stops. Brent now visits another local shop. This time the woman sells him the same fake gin that Cheznye drank, Mansion House, proving that the lethal drink is still openly on sale to tourists and locals.
Well, it's exactly the same bottle that Cheznye and Joe bought, and it works out about £3.20, which is nothing. I'm gutted really, because I thought that they'd stopped selling it around here completely, but obviously not. Potentially this could kill somebody, could kill somebody else's child, you know, and they're still selling it.
Back home, Brent reflects on just what he found in Indonesia.
I felt like going down, you know, going down and burning this bloody shop down myself, do you know what I mean? But obviously you're not going to do that because we want it done in the right way. But how these shops are still selling it, and they, you know, the heartbreaking thing about it is they know that this is Russian roulette, They're potentially selling a bottle of poison to somebody.
At a quick glance, the quality of the bottle would suggest that it's safe.
You know, if you really do look at it, you can tell the label's a bit skew-whiff, you know. The hologram is not a very good one, you know. And if you look at it carefully, there's a few bits and pieces floating about. But the scary thing is, the top is very good, it's very well done. And you're a traveller on holiday. You are not going to study this bottle, are you?
We sent the gin to be analysed at a test lab. Scientists were looking for the presence of methanol, a cheap substitute for the ethanol found in normal alcoholic drinks. Not only was the gin fake, the levels were off the chart.
The gin was like no other gin that I've ever seen before. It was only 4% alcohol, but the real problem was the methanol. It was almost 25% methanol by volume. Methanol is very poisonous. The legal limit for methanol in gin is 10 grams per 100 litres of alcohol. We found 441,000 grams per 100 litres of alcohol. So you can see it's 44,000 times the limit. That is most certainly not safe.
It's unlikely fake gin this dangerous has ever been seen in Britain before. It could have horrific consequences for anyone drinking even the smallest amount.
If you drank one shot of this particular gin, it would quite possibly make you blind. It would certainly have very severe effects on your eyesight. Depending on the person, because it is very variable, 2 doubles may kill you. You would definitely be killed by a large amount of this, say half of this bottle. I've never seen a gin with anywhere near as much methanol as this. It is definitely a shocking result. It's not a good idea that it's being sold to anybody. It would kill anybody that drank it.
Whilst Brent was in Indonesia, local police tracked down the source of the fake gin. They discovered an industrial operation.
They had closed down a warehouse that had over 5,000 bottles of fake alcohol in. They had arrested workers, and the main man that owned the distillery was on the run.
The illicit plant was flooding the popular tourist region, churning out fake whiskey and vodka as well as gin.
They found a list containing the places that they distribute this fake spirits to, and they listed shops, they listed bars, they listed clubs. So you're not safe anywhere, really.
As well as Cheznye, backpackers from Australia, Sweden and Ireland have all died from drinking fake alcohol in Indonesia. In 2009, 25 people were poisoned by methanol in Bali alone. Brent and Pam Emmons are desperate for more awareness amongst British travellers about the perils of fake alcohol, particularly young backpackers visiting Southeast Asia.
Our family and friends have started a campaign. It's called Chez, Save a Life campaign. You can get it on Facebook. We're lobbying the government at the moment to try and get leaflets given out when the doctors give you inoculations when you go to these countries. If you know somebody that's going to these countries, or even surrounding countries, Thailand, you know, Bali, all these other places, just say, oh, I've seen this programme, and make them aware. If you think that the bottle doesn't look right, doesn't smell quite right, don't chance it. Don't chance it, because it is one single drink and that can kill you.
Earlier we saw how British backpacker Cheznye Emmons died from methanol poisoning when she drank fake gin in Indonesia. But Britain itself is awash with dangerous counterfeit booze. Fake spirits are being manufactured in the heart of our cities, to be sold in shops across the country. Adrian Farley is Assistant Director of Criminal Investigation for HMRC. His team suspected they'd found a fake vodka bottling plant when CCTV revealed tanks of liquid being unloaded from a truck, coming and going from an industrial estate. They were about to discover one of the biggest fake booze operations ever seen in Britain, all in the heart of Birmingham.
Intelligence led us to this set of premises where we believed there was some illicit alcohol manufacturing taking place. So we arrived here one morning with the fire brigade because we were most concerned about the risk of explosion. The fumes from this manufacturing process can be such that the chance of an explosion is very high. A mobile phone or one of our radios could ignite the fumes.
When officers entered the premises, they couldn't believe their eyes.
There was enough bottle caps to do over 60,000 bottles. And there were 13 1,000-litre capacity bulk storage units. So this was a commercial operation designed to flood the West Midlands area with this highly dangerous substance.
Like the Indonesian fakers, the Birmingham gang had invented their own brand, Arctic Ice. And like the Indonesians, they were filling the bottles with fake vodka, which was actually deadly methanol and water.
Methanol is used for cleaning, it's used in soaps, it's used in printing inks and what have you. It is not meant for human consumption. This is something that was being produced simply to make people money with a total disregard for the effect on public health.
The factory was located just yards from other businesses and a busy road.
The idea of this being in a city environment like this is really outrageous. Had there been an explosion here, there would have been people killed. These people cared nothing for the damage that they might do.
Adrian and his team shut down the plant immediately. The men involved were arrested, convicted and sentenced. But hundreds, maybe thousands of the bottles of fake vodka had already been sold in shops throughout the area. This man, Colin Gooch, bought 2 and drank them over a period of weeks.
Well, that's it. That's the shop I bought the fake vodka from. Closed now. Closed since post-sentencing. Undoubtedly, I wasn't the only person to purchase fake booze from this particular establishment.
The shop was a franchise of the national retailer Bargain Booze. Colin was alerted to the fact that the vodka was fake and dangerous when he read a warning in the local newspaper. He visited the doctor immediately and was subjected to months of tests on his eyes, liver and other organs.
You go to bed every night, you close your eyes and you look around the bedroom and you think, I might not see this again. And it may sound dramatic, but it's not when you've been told you could wake up blind the next morning.
Forensic analysis of the Arctic ice showed dangerous levels of methanol, but Colin hasn't yet shown any signs of poisoning. However, he's concerned there may still be bottles of Arctic ice out there, and others may not be so lucky.
I know people going into off-licences and small independent traders tonight, and they're buying stuff. And do they know, can they put their hand on their heart and say, I know where this has come from, I can vouch for its authenticity, and I know exactly what I'm drinking.
Bargain Booze issued a statement. As soon as the company was aware of the problem with this store in Tamworth, the franchise agreement was ceased immediately and the store was shut down. But there are key things you can look out for to avoid buying a dangerous bottle of fake spirits.
Cost is a key. Generally, these products undercut, not by a large amount, but enough to raise people's suspicions. The labelling might not look right, and also if it's a name that they've never heard of before. If there are any concerns at all, they should either contact ourselves or Trading Standards.